Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. If you remember, there were some negotiations between the Russians and the Ukrainians in March 2022, right? 2 to 3 weeks, within 2 to 3 weeks after the unprovoked invasion of Ukraine by the Russians, there were about 4 to 5 meetings, including in Belarus, and eventually they met in Turkey. And after that, the Russians and Ukrainians were about to, during the negotiation, agree to some points, which was, according to the Russians, Ukraine neutrality and other stuff. But when the Ukrainian delegation returned to Kiev, Mr. Boris Johnson, the imbecile, showed up in Kiev and supposedly put pressure on the Ukrainians, and they then scrapped the negotiations with the Russians. That's what the Russians claim, according to the documents they have initialed and all that by the Ukrainian delegation. I don't think it was, now the Russians claim it was London's pressure. I don't think it was really London's pressure. I think it was from across the Atlantic pressure on London to send the imbecile over there. And the imbecile told Zelensky, that's not why we pay you. All right, so let me show you here how the Russians come now and say it was those guys. So, according to the Russians, we don't have peace over there because the guys in London did not want that and they blocked it. Is it possible? Is it true? Parts of it are true? All of it is true? It's an interpretation? Is it a big lie? All right, let's dive into this first article. Russia Today. UK blocked Ukraine peace deal. Moscow. Today on the 27th of April 2024. Claims that Russia was to blame for the failure of negotiations are mere speculation, quote unquote, the Kremlin has said. Ukraine abandoned a draft peace treaty with Russia in 2022 under British pressure, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said. Now you know how he showed up over there. He didn't even comb his hair and so on. Now, the deal, which could have ended the Ukraine conflict weeks after it started, was approved by negotiators in Istanbul, but Kiev later pulled out of the talks. The German and the Russians pulled out their troops from Kiev, and that's why this guy, we pushed the Russians back. The Russians said we pulled back because we kind of agreed to this. Anyway, that's what they said, the information, I'm giving you that. What the Russians say. The other thing is the interpretation of the other side. So the Russians said we took our forces from Kiev. The other guys, no, we pushed them back. First question, if you push them back, did you push them across I mean, I've been around and I know exactly that these guys in one day moved out. They were not like pushed out, moved out. They were not really a big war over there at the edge of Ukraine is the edge, the edge of Kiev. It was not like, we're going to surround you, we're going to destroy you. Not because they didn't. And in one day, they just moved out. They lost their balls or something, their virility? I don't think so. It was an order. But these guys hail it as a big victory. I don't think it was a big victory. I don't think so whatsoever. But hey, let history and time settle these things. So the German newspaper Welt reported on Friday that Moscow had issued additional demands after a deal had already been outlined, such as making Russia the second official language in Ukraine, implying that this had ended any hopes of an agreement. Peskov denied those claims on Saturday, citing remarks made by Ukrainian MP David Arkamia, who led Kiev's delegation at the talks. In an interview to domestic media last November, Arkamia said that British Prime Minister Boris Johnson had intervened in the peace process and had urged the Ukrainians to just fight. You die and I am good politically. And I'm a new Churchill or something. Jesus Christ. Kiev effectively discarded the deal under direct pressure from London. End quote. Peskov stressed, and I'm quoting, "The rest is speculation. I suggest we learn from the source," singular. Asked whether the draft treaty could serve as a basis for further peace talks, Peskov said Kiev's public position was to reject talks with Russia. The idea of reviving the failed agreement was floated by Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko when he met Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. We know they're not going to do anything. Now the things are even worse. They're not going to go back. It's too late. Johnson had denied derailing the peace talks. He denied. Okay. But he also bragged on multiple occasions about his policy of nudging Kiev into continuing hostilities with Russia, which the British politician claimed to be a fight for global democracy. And those guys don't have elections. Excellent. And they ban this media, those political parties, that religion, that denomination, and so on. But hey, they are democratic. And I'm quoting, "There could be no more effective way of investing in Western security than investing in Ukraine," he says, "because those guys without a single pair of American boots on the ground are fighting for the West." No, I disagree with that. They fight for some interests from the West, economic interest, and military, and political, but not for us. Johnson told students at Georgetown University during a visit to the US this month, "The Ukrainians," and I'm quoting, "are effectively fighting our own fight." That's about right. Fighting for our own interest. Our, my friends, do not read as you and I, like we're together. No, we're not together in this. We are at the receiving end as well. Okay? So it's not when I say we, or when you hear this imbecile Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, when he says, "We Canadians don't like this," or "Canada does." Fuck you. You don't know what the Canadians think. What are you talking about? You represent them, but we Canadians don't. We, you, and you motherfuckers around that are Ukrainians, are Canadians, and I'm I don't know, Zimbabwean. Yeah. Okay. Freelander, whatever his name, Freeland. Yeah, Ukrainian, PPP, pop. My friends, let's don't play baboons here or full retards. And again, we Canadians, who's you? You are the, how should I put it? You are the metamorphosis of the Canadians. Speak for your fucking self. Don't tell us what the Ukrainians think. You don't know that. You don't want to know, because whenever you go somewhere, you don't want to talk to them. You run like a bitch, surrounded by a secret service or protection, whatever you got. Armed protection, but the Canadians have to jump through all kind of hoops. That's freedom for you, my friends. Canada is not a democratic country. It's not a capitalist country. It's a kind of like a in between communism and socialism, somewhere. It's kind of like a tyranny. And these guys play ball, and these guys, yeah, I'm free, I'm Canadian. And again, how do you call it that? Canadian, they said the Canadians are nice or something like this by denying you. Yeah, I'm nice, but I'm doing whatever I'm doing, and I'm gonna fuck you. No, that's not nice. But I'm not going to get into that culture things. I got to know that firsthand. Move on. Our own interests. Russian officials described the Ukraine conflict as a Western proxy war, which it is. Next one. Ukraine's refusal to continue negotiations caused by pressure from London, Kremlin. So the same thing here, these guys. And it says here, "It is well known that the document," and I'm quoting, "was a de facto initialed. So the document was initialed. As I said, everyone is also well aware that what exactly caused the Ukrainians to refuse to continue and finalize the work on the document, according to representatives from the Ukrainian side who participated in the talks. It was due to, they say, direct pressure from London," end quote. Peskov told the briefing when asked whether it is true that Moscow put forward new demands to Kiev following the Istanbul summit in 2022, which Ukraine refused. "There are no prerequisites for negotiations with Kiev at the moment, including due to Ukraine's position against the talks. Therefore, the Russian special military operation continues," Peskov said. Yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to do this until we can. And remember, things changed. Now we can't go back to the same agreement after a lot of our people died and a lot of your people died. Let's recognize, as they say, the realities in the territory, which is, this is ours, that's yours, we're going to control that, those guys are out. No, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. And you're going to be gone, Ukrainians will be gone after a while, and NATO will use their baboon, NATO, United States, Al Capone, will use some of its baboons, imbeciles, which is going to be the Romanians, the Poles, the Baltic states, to do the same thing. Maybe the Finns do the same thing as Ukraine is doing right now, under the pretext that we were attacked and national security, self-defense, and the same garbage, which is only good for us. We can always say that. They or anybody else that we say they cannot invoke self-defense. They cannot invoke national security threat. No, not at all. No. Only we. Why? I don't know. Because we're good, I think. We're good, and I feel so good. I'm good, and they're evil. Why? Because I'm good. And I said so. That's the mentality of these baboons. But the baboons, the society buys it. Why? Because they have diplomas and they think they're educated. Yeah, go and get a diploma here. Go and buy your diploma. You got the money, you got a pencil, you got a diploma, just go to school. Pop, 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 pop. They will make you. Why? Because if they kick you out of school, they will lose your money. So they don't want to kick you out of school. They will do everything to have you keep going to the classes and buy more classes so you can give them money. That's a business. The education here is a business. It's not educating people. They give a diploma, and the problem is those guys are going to get jobs. Some of them will climb on the hierarchy of garbage ship. And when they do that, imagine what kind of brain they have. Well, look at Biden, look at Kamala, look at Blinken, look at not Newland Stansky. She's over there. Stein. Newland Stein, she's good. She's smart. She's a bitch. But anyway, that's a bad combination over there. But like Trudeau, or let's take politicians, look how empty-headed they are. How? They went through the process. They're all educated. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.